A few moments later, before I could say anything else, Chloe started crying even louder on the phone. "Please, Sophia, you have to help me," she said between sobs. "They're saying I stole money from the company. If I lose this job, my life will be over." I sat down on a bench outside my apartment and took a deep breath. "Chloe," I said calmly, "tell me exactly what happened." There was silence for a few seconds. Then she spoke in a very quiet voice. "I borrowed some money from the company." I frowned. "Borrowed?" "Yes," she said quickly. "I was going to put it back later. I just needed it for a little while." My heart felt heavy. "Chloe, did anyone give you permission to take that money?" She didn't answer. "Chloe." "No," she whispered. I closed my eyes. "Then that's stealing." "No, it's not," she shouted. "You don't understand. I needed it." I felt sad hearing her say that. Needing something doesn't make it okay to take it. She started crying again. "Please help me. Talk to Mom and Dad. Talk to my boss. Do something." I shook my head. "I'm sorry, Chloe. I can't fix this." The line went silent. Then she hung up. I sat there for a long time thinking. It seemed like everyone in my family expected me to solve their problems. Whenever something went wrong, they wanted me to rescue them. But this time I couldn't. And honestly, I didn't want it anymore. That evening I went to my therapy appointment with Dr. Anderson. She listened carefully while I explained everything. When I finished, she nodded slowly. "Sophia, how do you feel?" "Tired," I admitted. "Tired of what?" "Tired of being responsible for everyone." Dr. Anderson smiled gently. "That makes sense." I looked down at my hands. "I feel guilty when I say no." "Why?" "Because my family says I'm selfish." She leaned forward slightly. "Sophia, saying no does not make you selfish." I looked up. "It doesn't." "No. Sometimes saying no is the healthiest thing you can do." Her words stayed in my mind long after the session ended. For years I had believed that being a good daughter meant always giving people what they wanted. Now I was beginning to understand that wasn't true. A few days later, my phone rang again. It was Daniel, the private investigator. "Hello, Sophia," he said. "Hi, Daniel. Did you find anything?" There was a pause. "Yes." My stomach tightened. "What did you find?" "I'm afraid it's not good news." I felt nervous. "Just tell me." Daniel took a breath. "We found several credit cards opened using your name. We also found loans connected to your personal information." I felt like all the air left my lungs. "What?" "I'm sorry." I couldn't believe it. My own parents had used my identity. The people who were supposed to protect me had damaged my financial future. Tears filled my eyes. "Why would they do that?" "I don't know," Daniel said kindly. "But we have evidence." After the call ended, I sat quietly in my car. I stared at the steering wheel. Everything felt unfair. I had worked hard for years. I had saved money. I had built my business. And now I was dealing with problems I didn't create. But after a while, something inside me changed. I realized I had two choices. I could sit there feeling helpless. Or I could take action. I chose action. The next morning I contacted my bank. I reported the fraud. I froze my credit accounts. I filled out paperwork. It took hours. Some days it felt overwhelming. But little by little, things started moving in the right direction. At the gym, I continued training my clients. Working helped me focus. One afternoon Grace noticed I looked worried. "Everything okay?" she asked. I hesitated. Then I smiled. "I'm dealing with some family problems." "I'm sorry to hear that." "It's okay," I said. "I'm getting through it." Grace nodded. "You're stronger than you think." Those words made me smile. Maybe she was right. Over the next few weeks, some family members kept sending angry messages. One aunt wrote, "Family should always help family." Another relative wrote, "You're being cruel to your sister." At first those messages hurt. But then I started asking myself something. Where were these people when I needed help? Where were they when my father slapped me? Where were they when my identity was stolen? Most of them didn't know the whole story. They only knew what Mom and Chloe had told them. Slowly I stopped worrying about their opinions. The people who truly cared would eventually learn the truth. One person who always supported me was my cousin Ethan. He called often to check on me. One evening we met for coffee. "You look better," Ethan said. "I feel better." "Good." I smiled. "Therapy is helping." Ethan nodded. "You deserve happiness, Sophia." For a moment I felt emotional. Not because of what he said, but because it had been so long since anyone in my family had spoken to me with kindness. Months passed. My business continued growing. I gained more clients. People recommended me to their friends. Soon my schedule was almost full every week. For the first time, I felt truly proud of myself. Everything I had achieved came from hard work. Nobody had handed it to me. Nobody had given me special treatment. I earned it. One sunny afternoon I was washing my black sedan outside my apartment. As water sparkled across the shiny paint, I remembered the day I bought it. I remembered how excited I had been. I remembered holding the keys in my hand. Back then, the car felt like a reward. Now it meant something more. It represented independence. It represented freedom. It represented all the years I spent working toward my goals. Suddenly my phone buzzed. A message appeared. It was from Chloe. I stared at the screen. We hadn't spoken in months. Slowly I opened the message. It said, "Hi Sophia. I know you're probably angry. I just wanted to say I'm sorry." I blinked. Then I kept reading. I made a lot of bad choices. I blamed everyone else for my mistakes. I'm trying to do better now. I wasn't sure what to think. Part of me was still hurt. Part of me was still angry. But another part felt hopeful. Maybe she was finally learning. Maybe she was finally taking responsibility. After thinking for a while, I sent a reply. "Thank you for your message. I hope you're doing better." A few minutes later she replied. "I understand if you don't trust me. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry." I put my phone away. I wasn't ready to forgive everything. Some wounds take time to heal. But at least it was a start. As for my parents, things remained difficult. They still refused to admit what they had done. Because of that, I continued keeping my distance. It wasn't easy. Sometimes I miss having a close family. Sometimes I wish things were different. But I also knew something important. Just because someone is family doesn't mean they can treat you badly. Everyone deserves respect. Everyone deserves honesty. Everyone deserves healthy boundaries. Nearly a year after everything began, I stood outside my apartment one bright morning. The sun was shining. Birds were singing. My black sedan sat parked nearby. I looked at it and smiled. Then I looked at my reflection in the window. I wasn't the same person I had been a year ago. Back then I was afraid to say no. Back then I worried constantly about pleasing everyone. Back then I believed other people's problems were my responsibility. Now things were different. I had learned to stand up for myself. I had learned to protect my peace. I had learned that kindness and boundaries can exist together. Most importantly, I had learned my worth. My journey has been painful. There had been betrayal. There had been tears. There had been heartbreak. But there has also been growth. There had been courage. There had been healing. And as I picked up my car keys and walked toward my sedan, I felt stronger than ever before. The road ahead was still unknown. There would be new challenges. There would be new obstacles. But I wasn't afraid anymore. Because I finally understood something that took me years to learn. I did not need to carry everyone else's problems. I only needed to take care of myself, work hard, and keep moving forward. And with that thought, I opened the car door, started the engine, and drove confidently toward a brighter future. My mom called me. "Sophia, your sister needs your help. You need to give her money so she can pay back what she took." I sat there in shock. I could not believe what I was hearing. "Absolutely not." I said firmly. "This is Chloe's problem. She made a bad choice, and now she has to deal with the consequences." "How dare you?" Mom shouted. "After everything we have done for you." Her words made me angry and sad at the same time. I gave a bitter laugh. "You mean after stealing my identity?" I asked. "Yes, Mom. I know all about that." The phone became silent. For a few seconds, nobody spoke. Then I heard my dad's voice. "Now, Sophia," he said calmly, "let's not make any rushed decisions. We are family. We can work this out together." I shook my head, even though he could not see me. "No," I said. "We can't. I am done being treated this way. If you don't leave me alone, I will go to the police and tell them everything I know." Mom's voice suddenly changed. She sounded sweet and gentle, but I knew she was trying to manipulate me. "Sophia, sweetheart," she said softly, "think carefully about what you're saying. You wouldn't want to tear this family apart, would you?" I knew exactly what she was doing. For years, my parents had used guilt to get what they wanted. But this time, it was not going to work. Without saying another word, I ended the call. Afterward, I sat quietly on my couch. I felt tired, sad, and disappointed. These were my parents. I wished things could have been different. But deep down, I knew I had made the right choice. The next day, my best friend Olivia came over to visit me. As soon as she arrived, I told her everything that had happened. She listened carefully from beginning to end. When I finished, her eyes were wide. "Sophia, this is unbelievable," she said. "Your family has gone way too far." I nodded. "I know." Olivia thought for a moment. Then she said, "We need to protect you." She came up with a smart idea. Together, we set up small hidden cameras around my apartment building and near my car. "If they try anything," Olivia explained, "we'll have proof." I felt grateful to have a friend like her. Before leaving, she gave me a reassuring hug. A few days later, I was at work helping clients with their fitness training. Everything seemed normal. Then my phone suddenly buzzed. It was an alert from one of the cameras. The camera had detected movement near my car. Curious and worried, I opened the live video feed. The moment the picture appeared on my screen, my blood ran cold. My parents. They were standing beside my car. And they were trying to get inside. I turned up the volume. "We'll take it while she's at work," Dad said. Mom nodded. "She won't be able to prove anything." Then Mom added, "It's for Chloe. Sophia owes us this much." I stared at the screen in disbelief. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. Olivia happened to be nearby and watched the video with me. She looked shocked. Sophia, she said seriously, placing a hand on my shoulder, you need to call the police right now. My hands were shaking. Part of me still wanted to believe my parents would never do something like this. But the proof was right in front of me. I took a deep breath and called the police. As I waited for them to arrive, many emotions filled my heart. I felt sad because the people trying to steal from me were my own parents. I felt angry because they had betrayed my trust. But I also felt relieved. For the first time in a long time, I was standing up for myself. This was the moment when everything changed. There is no going back now, I whispered. Then I watched a police car arrive on the camera feed. For the first time, I felt like I was finally taking control of my life. They can't hurt me anymore, I said quietly. Soon, news about my parents and Chloe began spreading through the community. People learned about the lies, the manipulation, and the crimes. Many friends stopped talking to them. People no longer trusted them. Their social circle became smaller and smaller. I also heard that they were struggling financially. Without people to manipulate, things became much harder for them. About a month later, I received a phone call from a detective. Miss Sophia, he said, I wanted to let you know that your sister Chloe has been arrested for embezzlement. I closed my eyes. Even though Chloe had caused so much pain, hearing the news still made me sad. She was my sister, but I knew she had to face the consequences of her actions. Thank you for letting me know, I replied softly. The detective continued speaking. There is something else. We are moving forward with identity theft charges against your parents. They could face jail time. After the call ended, I sat in silence. I thought about everything that had happened over the past months. The fear, the stress, the betrayal, the heartbreak. It felt strange knowing it was finally over. At the same time, I knew a new chapter of my life was just beginning. Instead of focusing on the past, I decided to focus on my future. I put all my energy into growing my fitness business. I started offering online classes, so more people could join. The classes became popular. Soon, I had clients from different cities. A few months later, I achieved another dream. I opened a small fitness studio. The business continued growing. Every week, new clients joined. I was busier than ever, but I loved what I was doing. One evening, as I was locking up the studio, a client named James walked over to me. Sophia, he said, smiling, I just wanted to thank you. Your classes have changed my life. I feel healthier, stronger, and happier. His words touched my heart. I smiled warmly. Thank you, James. That means so much to me. As time passed, I began to realize something important. I was building a new family. Not a family connected by blood. A family connected by kindness, respect, and support. My clients became friends. My friends became like family. We shared meals together. We played games. We celebrated birthdays. We went hiking on weekends and laughed around campfires. One evening, after a gathering at my studio, Olivia pulled me aside. Sophia, she said with a smile, I am so proud of you. I looked around the room. At the friends talking and laughing. At the business I had built. At the life I had created. Look at everything you've accomplished, Olivia continued. I nodded slowly. A feeling of peace settled deep inside me. It wasn't easy, I admitted. But I finally feel free. That experience taught me one of the most important lessons of my life. Family is not just about sharing the same blood. A real family is made up of the people who support you, care about you, encourage you, and respect your boundaries. Those are the people who stay by your side during difficult times. Those are the people who truly love you. And for the first time in many years, I felt safe, happy, and hopeful about the future.
अंधेरी दीवारों में खुद को ढूंढता हूँ गए जो दिन सहाने थे उन्हीं को सोचता हूँ मैं तुम्हारे बिन ये मौसम भी बड़ा बेसर्द लगता है दिल का हर एक कोना अब बहुत ही दूर भरता है अंधेरी दीवारों में खुद को ढूंढता हूँ मैं ये जो दिन सुहाने थे उन्हीं को सोचता हूँ मैं तुम्हारे बिन ये मौसम भी बड़ा सर्द लगता है कहाँ ढूंढूं मेरा वो साजो सामा, तो मेरी हर एक तमन्ना तू, मेरी रूह का मकान तू। लकीरों में नहीं लिखा जो तुमने ख्वाब देखा था, वफा की इस कहानी में फकत एक गम ही लिखा था। सितारों से भी पूछता है पता तेरा कहाँ होगा, मगर खामोश है दुनिया, कहाँ मेरा जहाँ होगा। बस एक बार मुड़ के देख ले मेरी बेबसी की सूरत, मुझे है आज भी तेरी वफा की सख्त जरूरत। साए मेरे तन्हा सफर बस रह गया दर्द का असर, साए मेरे तन्हा सफर बस रह गया दर्द का असर, दर्द का असर।